Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is John Vine, and what we're going to be talking about today is how to succeed at, crushing technical interviews. Technical interviews are something that, a lot of people are afraid of. It could be intimidating, but it's something that everyone has to go through. And you guys are eventually, if you become software engineers and, achieve your goals, then, you will eventually have to go through a technical interview yourself as well. So today I thought we'd talk about, how to succeed, what technical interviews even are, and just kind of give you guys some more information on them so that you can succeed, right? So if you're new to the channel, my name is John Vine. What we do here is we talk about software engineering. I try to help you guys achieve your goals of becoming full-time software developers. If you like the content, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Around 90% of you guys right now are not subscribed, so every single one helps. Every single subscription helps, and I really appreciate it. So yeah, guys, technical interviews, right? Usually when you're interviewing for a position as a software developer, there's several stages of interview in the interview process when you're interviewing, right? So there's usually like a phone screen, then there's like a technical interview. This could be one or two or three, sometimes there's several. And then usually what they end up with is an on-site interview. This is when you go to the office, you meet the team, and you kind of see if you're a good fit. Now, at this portion, there's also technical interviews as well, so you should be prepared for that. But now these days, the on-site is probably virtual, but the whole concept of them stays the same. So you'll be talking to members of the team, you'll be solving coding questions, probably some behavioral questions as well. And so overall, the interview process is quite extensive, especially at the big FAANG companies like you guys want to get into. So the technical process is pretty important, and we'll be focusing on that part today. So, the technical questions that you can get asked, there's a couple of different ones, right? So you can get asked kind of like a quiz question, like a sort of a challenge question, right? So you would be asked to, do something with arrays or data structures and kind of code a solution. And these questions are, just meant to see your thought process. Obviously, you want to get the right solution, but the main goal that the interviewers have when they're interviewing you, especially in the technical part, is just to see your thought process. You want to be as loud as you can. You want to talk through your thought process, especially if you don't really know what's going on and you're trying to kind of, come up with a solution. Then you really want to explain what you're doing, right? Because the interviewers, they want you to succeed, right? The first thing you guys have to understand is the interviewers are on your team. They want you to succeed. They want to find an employee, find a new software developer as soon as possible so that they can get back to their job and stop interviewing people, right? So they want you to succeed, they want you to do well, and they want to help you out along the way. How are they supposed to do that if you're not talking, if you're not saying anything, right? So you want to be as loud as possible. You want to explain your thought process. And if there's something you don't know, just don't be afraid to ask. You can ask questions so they can lead you to the right solution. Then you can also talk about similar topics. If you don't know what something is, you can talk about, topics that are similar so that you can kind of explain what you do know. And basically, these challenge questions, might seem tough, but there's good ways to practice, and we're going to talk about them later. The other type of technical interview question that you could get, and there are different ones, but these are kind of the main two that I've realized at least, is kind of an experience question. So with these questions, they're also technical, but it's more like, tell me about a project that you work on that you were passionate about. So you would be explaining, from start to finish, what you did on a certain project, whether it succeeded, whether it failed, the pain points that you had. So, times when things weren't going well and what you did to solve a problem, how you would do it again. And basically with the experience questions, they really want you to talk about, times where you failed, how you reacted to failure, times when things were a bit more stressful and how you reacted there. And basically with this kind of question, they can kind of see how you would perform, in a real workplace environment, how your projects do, and you kind of get a chance to explain something that you were passionate about, to explain something cool that you worked on, and to kind of talk about your progression as a software developer, right? Which is awesome. And guys, these kind of two questions are really, I think, the bulk of the technical questions that you could get. And so when you think about it, right, the experience questions, if you have a side projects you worked on, you can talk about this, and this should be something that you liked, that you did very well, and that you're passionate about. So you can talk about it, and you'll have no problem with that. And the challenge questions are a bit trickier, right? Because you have to actually just code and solve a problem. And so how do you practice for that, right? How do you practice for a technical interview? So what you want to understand is that like the challenge parts, the challenge questions, they're meant to assess not only how you think and how you solve the problems, but also your technical ability, right? How you can code, if you actually know what you're doing, and all this kind of stuff. So ideally, hopefully you'll run into similar problems that you run into in the interview question as you would in the workplace. I don't really like when companies just ask random questions about like data structures that are completely unrelated, because how does that show you, you know, how I would succeed in like a front end role if all you're asking me are these weird questions about, you know, sorting a binary search tree? Like what do the two have in common, right? So they really want to assess your ability to solve problems. And in my opinion, the best way to practice for these is to use something like LeetCode. Basically, LeetCode Online has like thousands of different questions. These questions are curated, and you know, basically they're similar to the challenge type questions that you might get on an interview. And what you can do is sort from easiest to hardest and just go at it and solve a couple a day. You know, you can solve the easy questions first. Once you get comfortable and you can do one easily in like an hour, you know, try to see how low you can get. And once you can do them comfortably, move on to medium. And I think easy and medium questions are kind of the two. Medium is probably what you would get asked the most. So try to get comfortable with medium questions. But that being said, you know, do some hard ones as well. Do as many as you can. And as you practice, you're gonna get so much more confident. You're gonna build these patterns in your head, like the way you solve problems. So your problem solving skills are gonna get better, which is, you know, priceless if you're trying to become a software engineer. Because, you know, problem solving is the best skill you can have. And so basically on LeetCode, what you do is you code a solution and then you run it through some tests. And if all the tests pass, then, you know, you pass the question and you got it complete and you can move on to the next one. You can also make your answers better, so make the code run faster and more efficiently. But you know, the main practice is, you know, doing these questions and completing them. And I think with LeetCode, guys, it's a numbers game. If you can do like 100, then, you know, I think you'll be good. And also there's, you know, sorted questions, there's interview questions, there's, if you buy premium, you get access to like Amazon interview questions, Facebook interview questions. They're all curated, and it's just a really, really good resource that is free. You get a ton for free and you don't even have to pay. So LeetCode is like GOAT status. It's an amazing way to practice for your technical interviews, right? There's also different books. There's a book called Cracking the Coding Interview, which I'm sure you guys have heard of. It's basically updated every year, and what it is a ton of coding questions similar to LeetCode, but it has questions, it has examples, it has, you know, a lot of information about data structures and kind of fundamental topics of computer science that you need to know to succeed, and kind of that you get commonly asked, you know, in interviews. So, you know, data structures, arrays, you know, all this kind of stuff. In my opinion, I think you're better off just, you know, grinding LeetCode and, you know, doing those kind of questions. But, you know, whatever works for everyone. If reading a book is better for you, then go for it. And a lot of the questions in the book are, you know, based on interview questions that big companies use. And, you know, like I said, there's new editions every year, so it's constantly being updated. But, you know, that being said, I don't think you have to get the new one every year, right? I'm sure you'll be fine with one. But, you know, a lot of people have said that this is a great resource, and I'm sure that it is an awesome one. So check out Cracking the Coding Interview. If, you know, books are a way that you learn well and you're, you know, practicing for interviews, it's probably a great resource for you to use. Another tip I have for you guys to succeed at the technical interviews is, you know, to look at the job description, to study it and see like what kind of text they focus on mostly. If there's a couple of different languages that they use primarily, try to, you know, use one of those languages during your interview. Maybe talk about your experience with a language that, you know, they talk about in the job description. You know, talk about your experience using that language. If you have a project you built using it, you know, talk about that. But basically you want to study, you want to, you know, see what they're looking for and see what you have that matches, and, you know, talk about that more often. And along with that, you want to study that specific tech if, you know, you kind of have to brush up on it, right? You want to study concepts that are related to the job description, because if they know that, you know, you have years of JavaScript experience, you're amazing at React, and they're looking for a front-end developer, that, you know, if you have that experience and you studied that specific technology and you really know it well, then, you know, the odds of them hiring you are much higher, right? And another tip I have, like, that really worked for me, especially when I was in college, is to study with your friends. You know, find a group that you can work with, because, you know, that really helps you study. You have people that you can explain different topics to. And like I said before, guys, if you can explain it to someone else, then you probably understand it very well. You know, you can also do mock interviews with your friends, so they can, you know, give you some practice questions, and you guys can kind of go back and forth, and kind of, you know, give each other feedback and get better. And, you know, I want to stress that not explaining your process and kind of getting stuck in that position where you don't know what to say, and, you know, you're in an interview, they ask you a question, you don't know the answer, and just kind of, you know, just kind of an awkward silence. That's kind of the situation that you don't want to end up in. And the more interview questions and the more practice you can get doing a mock interview, the higher your chances are of not catching yourself in that situation, right? You'll probably get better and, you know, be able to talk yourself out of it, be able to explain your thought process, and kind of bring the interview back into a more, into a better state. and kind of avoid that situation altogether. But I think practicing with, you know, a peer is a great way to practice. And guys, finally, one of the things that helped me the most was just practicing and getting more confident. You know, at a certain point, you just have to, you know, be really confident in your abilities. You have to realize that if you actually put the work in, if you studied, you know, just do your best, and you know that's all you can really do. You know, the more interviews I did, the more confident I got at them. And that's another tip, actually. You know, try to do a lot of interviews. If you're interviewing, if you just apply to a ton of jobs, and who knows, you might get a couple of interviews, and then the more interviews you do, the more comfortable you are. So even if those interviews, you know, you don't even get the job and they go horribly wrong, you do get the experience, and you know, next time you'll be a lot less nervous because, you know, you've been through the worst. How much worse can it get, right? So guys, be confident. If you studied, you got it. And I hope this video has helped you guys out. These are some tips and some more information about what technical interviews are and how to succeed at them. As always, guys, if you like the video, you know, like the video and subscribe to my channel. Every subscription helps. Trying to hit 2,000 subscribers, so, you know, subscribe to the channel, guys. Let me know down below if you think there's anything I missed. If you guys have any of your own personal tips or experiences to share regarding technical interviews, I'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment down below. And as always, guys, enjoy your day and take it easy. Peace out.